So we have a little bit of a technical glitch. I have to signal Mike, and I know he's going to do the best that he can in terms of changing my slides because we don't have a remote. So what we're going to talk about today, the next slide, Mike, is be brave. And the reason that I chose that for my topic is because so many of us go through trials and tribulations in our lives. None of us are immune from that calamity. And many of us go through many of these within our lifetime. The reason that I named my book Tossed and Found is not just about stuff that we find and other people make beautiful, but it's about our lives, how we've all been tossed around at some time in some way. And it's not whether we have. It's what we're going to do about it. It's how we find ourselves again, how we reinvent ourselves if we need to over and over. And that takes bravery, that takes courage, that takes stepping up. So we're going to talk about being brave today, but in order to do that, one of the things that I do is I talk about my life, because my life is a perfect picture of change, of challenge, of confrontation, and of handling it. And how we handle it, and how we put the blocks, the building blocks of our lives together to make our lives and the lives of the people around us better. So I came to my epiphany one year, and I'm not a goal person. I don't like to set goals. I don't know whether it's because I have this feeling that I'm not going to accomplish them or it's going to box me in. I really don't know, but I always fought against it. Well, one year, it was New Year's Eve, and I decided, you know what? I'm going to write down goals this year, and I'm going to do this. And I remember going down and sitting at my desk and sitting there and sitting there. And I'm going, all righty now. And I wrote down one goal. Be brave. And that goal changed my life. So with that one goal, I love this picture. And this picture is about perseverance. This picture is about fighting against the odds. This picture is about us. This picture is what we do with our lives and how we bring in all the adversity, wrap it up, and throw it out. And we survive. We grow. We prosper. And we succeed. Be brave. Next one. Okay. And that single commitment changed my life. Okay, and I love this. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about dancing in the rain. Whoa, and isn't that true? Because how many times do we wait? Wait for the perfect mate. Wait for the great house that we're going to have one day. The big farmhouse on the hill, the white picket fence. We're constantly waiting for something and not living now, not living today. So I had to ask myself, what kept me from stepping out? Why was I afraid to do the things that I really wanted to do? Okay? Fear. Fear. You know, fear are the golden handcuffs that keep us where we are. And I will guarantee that most of you don't want to be there. You want to be somewhere else. You want to be better. You want to succeed. You want to share. You want to inspire. Whatever it is that you want to do, we're held by our fears. Well, what is fear? Fear is false evidence appearing real. It's not real. Fear is not real. And if we really embrace that, we begin to realize that what you fear is not the same thing other people fear. So is it really real or is it your perception? And so that's one of the things that we really need to look at, and one of the things that I had to face in terms of moving forward in my life into what I perceived as success or enrichment or fulfillment. So false evidence appearing real. Not everyone is afraid of spiders. But people that are truly afraid of spiders. So what is real? Not everyone is afraid of heights. I mean, I have a son that jumps out of airplanes in parachutes, bungee cords over the mountains out of helicopters. I mean, come on. It is not fear to him, but it's fear to me. And so consequently, we really need to analyze our fears and say, what is holding us back? What is it about this thing or this situation or fear of speaking? One of the biggest fears in the world, right? What is real about that? It's within us. So, and the next one, okay. That which you feed grows. Please do not feed the fears. All right? So, the most 10 common fears, and I thought this was fun. Okay, fear of public speaking, number 1. Number 2, fear of intimacy. Hello. Oh my goodness. We're afraid of those relationships. How many of you attend networking events? Almost everyone. Okay. How many of you are a little nervous going into a new networking event where you don't know many people? Sure, we own it, right? What is that? Fear. Sometimes that fear keeps us from going, keeps people from going. They feel safe in their house. But what's going to happen if they stay in that house? They're going to stay exactly where they are. The fear of failure only supersedes the fear of success. How many of us are afraid to succeed? You know why? Because it means it's responsibility. It means we have to do things. It means we've made a commitment that we have to live up to. So really think in terms of the fear of rejection, the fear of commitment, the fear of change, the fear of what others think. Is it real? It's their stuff. Why are we making it our stuff? Okay? The fear of the dark or the fear of the unknown. When we're little kids, it's the fear of the dark because the boogeyman's there, right? But then we grow up, and what happens? The boogeyman is still there. The boogeyman is in the corporate office. The boogeyman is the boss. The boogeyman is the, whatever. And it keeps us from moving forward. Fear is the ultimate killer of dreams. Okay. And next, okay. Most people are unwilling to go through the discomfort and pain. Wow. Can any of us in here own that? You don't have to raise your hand. This is for you. This is within you. This is to build and strengthen and move you forward. Move you out of your box. Step out and find out what's there. Most people are afraid to step into the void. What does that mean? That means trusting. That means believing in yourself. That means believing that, first of all, you will be okay, that there is a greater power working through you. To step into the void, you must be brave. But remember, you're never alone. Fear is the unrealistic thing that keeps us from living the life that we want. When you are going through something hard and wonder where God is, remember, the teacher is always quiet during a test. Now, the reason that I love this is because I was educated as an instructor, as a teacher. And although I only taught within the public school system for about 3 years, I have been a teacher my whole life. We are all teachers. We teach one another. We support one another. We guide one another. And we have teachers that come into our lives in many ways, in many fashions. So understand that this is really a powerful thing. That sometimes when we think that God is not listening, it is only our perception, because God is always present. Your higher self, your better you, is waiting. Oh, I was gesturing. I'm sorry. Sorry about that, Mike. Okay. For you to break through your limiting beliefs. Your limiting beliefs. No one else's. yours. And so we have to take responsibility for that. It is your internal barriers that keep you from changing your beliefs, and now you can change it. Thank you, Mike. I love Marianne Williamson. Marianne Williamson was my minister for 2 years. She ministered at the Church of Today in Warren, Michigan. And the woman is amazing. She is one of my teachers. She is one of my mentors. She is one of the great women on this planet. And she said, the greatest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our greatest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. Wow. When we really think about that, when we embrace that, and it doesn't matter how old we are. It doesn't matter if we're 20 or if we're 80. You know, some of the most amazing people have been the most productive between 70 and 90. It just took them that long to learn to get there. Now, I'm an impatient person, you know, and you're going to see more in this slide film that I have how impatient I was. So let's move on. Okay? I spent years dreaming and hoping and wishing and thinking and praying. Okay? And this is me. I grew up on a farm. I went to a 2-room schoolhouse. I was in the same room with the same teacher from kindergarten through 5th grade. Now, we're in a very rural community. We were fairly poor. We didn't know that. Your reality is your reality at the time. But the thing is I look back on it now as an educator, as a speaker, and I look back on that very humble beginning where my entire school was about 20 kids. And we had, you know, 1 person in kindergarten and 2 people in 1st grade and 4 people in 2nd grade and that type of thing. And we all helped one another. I think back as an educator, how did we, as educators, as teachers, teach all of those grades, all of those children at the same time? And they didn't just teach you reading, writing, and arithmetic. They taught you art, and we had programs and Christmas shows and all of these things. These teachers were amazing. These teachers, 2 of them, were amazing. 1 in one room and 1 in the other. Because when you graduated from 5th grade, then you went into 6th, 7th, and 8th grade with the other teacher. Well, I didn't make it that far. The community grew, and I ended up going to another school. But this is me on the farm, and what I love about this photo is I always wanted to be a rock star. There was humor in that. Okay, I always wanted to be a rock star, and what I think is really cute here is that here I am doing a curtsy. Who in the world does curtsies today? Like nobody. But anyway, for whatever reason, I thought that was the thing to do. Okay, and the next picture, and that's my high school graduation picture. Notice the resemblance? Okay, next picture. But I wanted to be a rock star. Here I am out on a farm. What were my chances of becoming a rock star? My parents couldn't afford singing lessons. They couldn't afford dancing lessons. I mean, I'm a farm kid. And so I had this dream of being a rock star. Now, I'm from Michigan. Madonna is also from Michigan. And I always say that she took my place, and I got to have a talk with her. Okay, next one. All right. So I decided to go to college. Well, again, I'm in a very small rural farm community, and not many kids went to college at all. So I went to my dad, and I said, Dad, I want to go to college. What do you think he said? Only the boys in our family get to go to school. Now, I want to talk about that. Because here I am, at the time, 17 years old. I started college when I was 17. And I was crushed. I could not understand why this should be. But for whatever reason it was, whatever his thoughts were, whatever the social fabric was, I decided I was going to go to college. And it's oftentimes adversity that makes us strong. It's when people tell us we can't that we can. And I am the only one with a college degree in my family of 4 kids and 2 adults. Because I decided, thank you. Because I decided that no one or no thing was going to stop me from moving forward in my life. So this is a very important part of my whole thing about being brave. I learned early on that adversity can strengthen you. And I often feel that that's why God puts those hurdles in our way. Next. Okay. So building the dream. Then I decided that I would become a fashion model. Now, I was a little older, and most fashion models start out at 17 years old. But I decided if I couldn't become a rock star, I was going to become a fashion model. And you can keep going through these. So I became a fashion model, and I modeled for 20 years. I also did a lot of radio and television through that particular venue. I think there's a couple of more slides before we can get to the next one. And here, now come on. Look how skinny I was. Oh my gosh, come on. It's like, and I ate like a horse. But doesn't matter. I couldn't gain weight, and but here I am today, and guess what? I got my wish. Okay, next. Okay, while I was walking the runways of America, I had another idea. Okay, next one. All right. I always loved animals, as you know. I was a dog trainer for 20 years. I knew that the fashion world was a short-lived world. It was not going to sustain me throughout my life. And even though I had a degree as a teacher, that I really wanted to go into another area. And being raised on a farm, I had this affinity for animals. And so I started a dog school called Woofology. That school is still in existence today. I sold it to one of my employees. If you go to woofology.com, you'll see it. But I started that out as a small little enterprise. I grew it to 9 locations and 40 trainers. So again, it is moving into that entrepreneurial world, taking that step into the void, trusting that what my gut instinct told me to do, what my heart told me to do, was going to come to fruition. And I had that school for 20 years. However, during that time, something else happened. As I was working as a fashion model and starting my schools on the side, the fashion world started to ask me to bring animals into my shoots, or animals to use on the runway. So, if I was going to do a shoot, they said, "Oh, Barb, could you bring a Dalmatian to that shoot?" Sure, I can do that. And then they'd say, "Oh, well, we need an Airedale Terrier, to work. Or we need a Yorkie to put in the purse as you walk down the runway. You can pop this Yorkie out and play with it, and the audience will think it's wonderful." Well, I did this for a while, and all of a sudden I thought, you know what? I'm being paid as a model, but I'm not being paid to schlep these animals all over creation and to get all different kinds. So I started another company called Pets and Pictures. And I ran that company for 10 years. Eventually, our largest contract was with Kmart, where we provided all of the animals for their brochures and their photography and their commercials and that type of thing. And not only dogs, but at one time I got a pair of vultures, a herd of cattle, a bear, and it's just like, oh my gosh. So I went into this whole other world. Well, what I said is, look, when the fashion world no longer hires me and they hire the animals before me, I'm getting out. Guess what? I did. So the dog, the Pets and Pictures went on for quite a while. All right. Then I had an opportunity to go into the corporate world. My entire life, other than my short stint in teaching, which was a government contract, I went into the corporate world. And it was a wonderful ride. It was a fabulous ride. And I loved everything I did. I was in sales. I was a top salesperson in the company. And then when I moved to Colorado, I went into management. And I managed from Michigan to California. I did that for about 3 years. It was a fabulous job. I loved the corporate culture I was in, loved everything about it, until the economy began to spiral downward. We sold to the real estate space. What happened to the real estate space in 2005? 2006. It plummeted. Because it was the only egg in our basket, the company within a 6-month period of time dissolved. I found myself at 62 years of age, without employment, with no potential look at even closely resembling the type of income that I was looking at. And I thought again, now what? Now what? I didn't know. I went to Atlanta for about 6 months with my son and helped him with the business. And all the while I'm thinking, now what? What do I do? How do I even closely replicate what I had the opportunity to embrace, to work in, the culture that I was involved in? And while I was in Atlanta, I had another epiphany. Drat that entrepreneurialism spirit, right? And I decided that I was going to write a book. Now, I had never written a book. I didn't know how to write a book. But I really thought, what do I love to do? Well, there's really many things. But what I've done for 30 years is I have been a thrifter. I love to take junk and turn it into something fabulous. Create fabulous homes, amazing wardrobes. So I thought, I have been doing this just for the fun of it, for myself. I think that a lot of people would like to learn about how to, particularly in the downward spiraling economy, about how to economize and yet still live in luxury. And we can do that. So I began writing this book, not knowing about the publishing side, not knowing about a layout, not knowing about all of those things. I did one really smart thing. I hired a coach. I hired a book coach because I needed someone to guide me through the steps and help me make the decisions. And remember, we are always surrounded by mentors. Some we have to pay for, some are free, but it doesn't matter. It is our next stepping stone. So I encourage you to really embrace the coaches that will help you get wherever you are, because my book coaches helped me get to where I was published. But what's important about this book is that when I held this in my hands, and it took me 2 years, 36 edits, to create this. And through my coaching, she told me, look, I love your content, I love what you're saying, but people are going to want to know about your life. People are going to want to know about your adversities. People are going to want to know how you struggled through the different periods and how it made you stronger. So I want you to weave your story into the how-to. So it became what's called a creative how-to. It is a memoir, and it is also about how to create fabulous lives on little to nothing. My home is entirely decorated for free. And if you want to know how to do that, it's in the book. But the whole idea is that we look at our dream and we think about it, we kind of visualize it in our mind, and here's where most of us fail. We never take that first step. Now, I'm sitting in Atlanta. I've never written a book, and I decide that I'm going to write a book. And I really didn't know what to do. So I sat down, and truly, I wrote one sentence. Then I wrote a paragraph. And then I had a chapter. And then I had another chapter. And 2 years later, I had a book. So what I saw is not that I was going to be on the bestseller list. What I saw is I would be a speaker because I had something to speak about. I had a life, a trajectory, if you will, that other people hopefully will draw strength from, will be inspired to make their lives, whatever their dream is, to go after it and to take that step into the void. Okay? So I took baby steps. This is me. My father holding me up, and I thought this picture was very prophetic because when we are young, everything is possible, isn't it? It's like being a child. What if we, as adults, with all the information we have, thought like children? with endless possibilities. And everything is exciting and new and embracing. How fun would that be? So I took these baby steps. So commit to taking one step. That's all you need to commit to. I wrote one sentence, and it changed my life. All right? Develop a network of support people, whether they're coaches or friends or whatever. Develop that network because they are going to support you and help carry you to your success. And then make a plan. What is it that you need to start? Whatever it is. Okay? I was writing down that single goal that changed my life, and these are just some of my aha moments. Invest in the power of bravery. Be brave. When I wrote down that goal, I was in the sales arena. And do you know what it's like to dial for dollars? Anyone in sales here? You're dialing for dollars, right? Is it fun to pick up that phone? No. But be brave. So every time I had to hire someone, I had to fire someone, I had to pick up the phone, I had to have a confrontation with a coworker, I remembered my goal, be brave. And it truly changed my life. Dare to go beyond your boundaries. Dare. Get uncomfortable. Get uncomfortable. You know, it's not fun, but guess what? It will change your life. Strive, push, while being gentle with yourself. You are so perfect, as Marianne Williamson says. You are so perfect. But push. God's waiting for some help, okay? Spur yourself to think, reflect, and commit to doing the one thing that'll change your life. And learn to laugh. Learn to laugh. Don't take everything so serious. Be serious, but don't take everything so serious. And with that, because we're out of time, thank you so much. You were wonderful. I love speaking with you.